Welcome to Evanston! Over 70,000 people live here today, and I'm one of them. My name is Maxwell, and this is my hometown. Tell you a bit about Evanston's history. Before Evanston was called a city of homes, this area was once home to many Native American tribes, including the Potawatomi Indians.
Well, the Potawatomi Indians weren't the first Indian tribe to live in the Evanston area, but they were part of a group of Indians who lived here, and Indians lived here for a long, long time, centuries of time in this area. And they had villages throughout Evanston.
Wow, the Potawatomi Indians once lived on this very spot. There once was a Native American village right here. During the 1600s, the first non-native visitors to this area were French explorers. They called the area Grosse Pointe because of a large point of land that stuck out into the lake. This is where the lighthouse is now. A French explorer named Jacques Marquette didn't think this land was worth anything because it had too many trees just like this. And it flooded a lot. Now look at it. This is some prime real estate. The first European American settler of Grosse Pointe was Major Edward H. Mulford. In 1836, he bought some land, built houses, and opened Cook County's first post office. In 1850, Grosse Pointe was renamed Ridgeville, and the township kept on growing. This is Northwestern University. Sure, we all know this is one of the most famous universities in the country. But did you know it was started even before Evanston was called Evanston? It's a fact. Northwestern opened its doors in 1855 when this township was still named Ridgeville.
And one of the men who was involved in founding the university and founding the town was named John Evans. And they decided to name the town after him. His wife, Mary Ann, came up with the name Evanston instead of Evansville or something like that. She thought Evanston sounded good.
Get it? Evanston, Evanstown. At first, people wanted a different Northwestern founder named Orrington Lunt to be the township's namesake. It's a good thing for us he wanted to stay in Chicago, or this may well be the history of Lawrenceville or something. Between 1860 and 1870, after the Civil War, Evanston grew and grew. This is the Grosse Pointe Lighthouse. In 1873, the United States government built it because there are too many shipwrecks out there.
So that lighthouse is really important. And the citizens of Evanston, there were enough shipwrecks that they lobbied the government and they said, you know, we really need a lighthouse here. So they had it built there. And there was nothing else really in that part of Evanston when the lighthouse was built.
This is the Centennial Fountain. The people of Evanston donated money so the township could buy it.
The original Fountain Square fountain was put up in 1876 for the 100th anniversary of the United States of America. And it was there for a long time, and it started to fall apart, and people were very worried that it wasn't going to be okay.
In 1912, the fountain was falling apart, so they replaced it with one that looked exactly the same. But in 1946, it was taken down and put into storage. The fountain was gone, but not forgotten. In the 1950s, it was fixed up and brought here to a park now known as the Merrick Rose Garden. This is the Evanston Post Office. It was built in 1948. What's the big deal about a post office? Well, check this out.
The post office was constructed as part of a program during the Depression. In the 1920s and 30s, the United States had a real problem with people not having enough jobs, and so they didn't have ways to feed their families and ways to afford where they were going to live. So the United States government came up with ways of giving people jobs. And the post office in Evanston was constructed as a jobs program for a group of men, and they came and they designed a beautiful post office, and then they built the post office, and it gave a lot of people work for a number of years while it was being built.
These sculptures were added in 1940. This one is called The Message, and this one is called The Answer. In the lobby, there are two big sculptures of busy postal workers. They are each 7 feet tall, cast in aluminum, and covered with real gold. Today, Evanston is a lot different than it was in the olden days. It has tall buildings, modern train stations, a cool public library, great parks, loads of cool shops, and restaurants. Even high property taxes. My papa made me a that. Yup, Evanston's chock full of historical goodness, all right. But I think the coolest fact of all is that I live in town that gave the world Tinker Toys. In 1914, Charles H. Badeau was watching some kids play with pencils and empty spools of thread. And that's what gave him the idea for Tinker Toys. Now, is that cool or what?
Nine out of 10 doctors prefer Johnson brand editing.
It's good.